Hey, 42 here. When were you born? What if I told you that the month in which you were born determines how lucky you will be throughout your life? Being born, for example, in June instead of September could be the difference between being successful in your job, being wealthy, being happy, and having a good relationship. This is not some astrological mumbo-jumbo horoscope. No, those things are about as useful as a soggy flan. I'm talking about scientific studies based on empirical evidence that have revealed what, for a long time, the scientific community thought has no basis in fact. That when someone is born changes every aspect of their life. British psychologist Richard Wiseman and author of the brilliant book Quirkology conducted an online study of over 40,000 people. He collected their birth date and asked them whether they consider themselves to be lucky or unlucky. The study revealed a significant divide between the luck of those born in the summer from those born in the winter. The results showed that people who were born in the summer between March to August were considerably luckier in life than those born in the winter between September to February. How can this be? Is there some kind of supernatural phenomenon that changes every single life event based on when somebody was born? Or perhaps astrology has some merit? Well, it's either that, or there's something entirely more rational and less utterly quacky bullshit going on here. Wiseman postulated that perhaps the stark difference in weather conditions at birth between the summer and winter could have a long-term effect on a person's luck. As bonkers as this sounds, he decided to verify the results by conducting a duplicate of the experiment in the southern hemisphere. Wiseman once again conducted an online poll, but this time with the general public of New Zealand. The logic here being that the seasons are reversed in the southern hemisphere. Opposite to Britain, in New Zealand, June, July and August are the coldest months, and December, January and February are the hottest. And so, if luck is somehow linked to temperature, then the results should be reversed in New Zealand. And yes, they were. People in New Zealand led luckier lives when they were born in the warmer months between September to February, and were less lucky when born in the cold months between March and August. You may be wondering, how does one define luck? After all, it's not exactly something that can be measured, or by all rational thought, even exists. Luck is, by popular scientific consensus and by my estimation, the false attribution of positive or negative outcomes to supernatural or religious forces instead of random chance or just human endeavour. At the end of the day, luck is essentially a descriptor that we place upon ourselves in the form of either good or bad luck based on our personal experiences. But during this study, Wiseman found that people who describe themselves as lucky do, in fact, have more good luck, and vice versa. He tells of the example of one female participant, Susan from Blackpool, who describes herself as unlucky, and boy was she, and no, not just because she lived in Blackpool. She was once destined to meet a man on a blind date, but on his way to meet her, the potential suitor had a motorcycle accident and broke both of his legs. A subsequent date walked into a glass door, breaking his nose, and incredibly, Susan once had 8 car accidents in a single 50-mile journey. So, if luck really is just a description that we attach to ourselves, then why do some people, like Susan, genuinely lead unluckier or luckier lives than others? Why do some people always get lucky breaks and find themselves in the right place at the right time, whilst for some other people their life seems like an endless crapfest? Wiseman suspected that perhaps luck could be somewhat self-induced. People who seek more sensations and experiences are more likely to experience good luck. To test this theory, Wiseman placed an ad in a newspaper that took up half a page and said in gigantic letters, "Win £100 by telling the experimenter you have seen this." He then handed this paper to a number of participants and asked them simply to count the number of pictures in the newspaper. Most of the self-professed unlucky participants failed to notice the huge advertisement because they were so focused on counting images. Those who thought themselves lucky, however, usually did notice the ad and asked for their £100. It seems, therefore, that lucky people have a natural instinct to make the most of opportunities. Being lucky, therefore, could be, in no small part, down to a self-fulfilling prophecy phenomenon, in which some people have a proclivity to take more risks, seek more sensations, and therefore are statistically more likely to have good fortune. What people don't realise, however, is that this is often entirely of their own making. Who dares wins, as the timeless British Special Forces slogan implies. Wiseman postulates that those born in colder months are less lucky because they spend their life taking fewer risks and seek fewer sensations. They are also more introverted when compared to their typically more extroverted summer-born folk. This could be because the colder weather during the first crucial months of life permanently instills their psyche with a natural aversion to stepping outside of their comfort zone and taking risks, and so are less likely to create their own good fortune. But what if your birth month could scientifically predict your career? If this were true, then it would mean that couples would plan their child's conception, and thus their birth, depending on what they want them to be, a dentist or a tax collector. Which sadistic parent wants their child to be a tax collector is beyond me. Now, this isn't as science fiction as it sounds. Research conducted based on data collected from the Office of National Statistics Census in the UK found that there was a very real and observable correlation between what month a person is born in and their career. But there were also strong links to one's intelligence and health issues. January babies are most likely to become debt collectors or doctors. February, artist or traffic warden. March, pilot or musician. April, well, this one is pretty damn awful, to be honest. April births were the most closely associated with health issues, a low IQ, and a disproportionate amount of dictators, including Hitler, were born in April. May is far more optimistic. May babies are most likely to be sports captains or politicians. June means a chief executive or a Nobel Peace Prize winner. July is a bricklayer or train driver. August, also bricklayers. September, most likely to achieve academically. October babies have the longest lifespan. Those born in October live on average 7 months longer than those born in March. November? Yeah, it's a bad one again. Most likely to be a serial killer or schizophrenic. December, dentist or a member of the clergy. As unbelievable as all of this seems, these correlations are subtle yet very real, and scientists think that there are logical explanations. It could all relate to the different climate conditions and sun exposure during the mother's pregnancy that consequently affect the baby's development in the womb. For example, it was generally found that those born closer to summer are more intelligent and less likely to have health issues such as asthma, schizophrenia, and autism. Because for such babies, the majority of their mother's later pregnancy cycle will be spent in the darker months, and there will be less light when the baby is born. This means that both the mother and the baby will absorb significantly less vitamin D, which is vital for a baby's healthy development, especially during these crucial first months. Keep in mind that this study was based on data from the UK, where the hottest months are between June and August. The study also found links to a baby's birth month and how tall they will grow as an adult, and what their body mass index will be. Furthermore, when you were born can affect when you die. Sociologist David Phillips from the University of California, San Diego, has spent his entire life researching why people die when they do, which must make him the life and soul of parties. Phillips analysed 3 million Californian death certificates and found that women are most likely to die during the week after their birthday than any other time of the year. Conversely, men are most likely to die the week before their birthday. Philip suspects that this is because women are usually more likely to look forward to their birthday, whereas men tend to get stressed around their birthday because they reflect on how quickly their life has whizzed by and how little they think they have achieved. This build-up of cortisol caused by stress causes the man's system to malfunction and possibly expire more quickly than it otherwise would have. So, when your 80th birthday comes knocking, do try to keep calm, because if you don't, it could be your last. Thanks for watching. I've recently launched my first book, which I'm crowdfunding. Stick a flag in it. 1,000 years of bizarre history from Britain and beyond. The crowdfunding campaign has reached 100%, so it's definitely going to be published thanks to everyone who has pledged. But there are still stretch goals to reach. So, if you want a first edition signed copy, then head on over to Unbound, the link's in the description. Watch the launch video over there if you haven't already, and pledge today. Thank you.